Take off my earphones while you're speaking to me? Sure, no problem officer, by user take it easy. Happened this morning. Even though I made a complete and full stop at a four-way stop, I get pulled over by a police vehicle, lights flashing, the works. I turn my dashcam around to face me and whomever goes in front of the driver's side window. I roll it down and ask what seems to be the problem officer. Officer looks at me the way one would look at a sticky piece of gum stuck to the bottom of one's shoe. You didn't make a complete stop, he says. I adjust one of my hearing aids, lost part of my hearing due to being a touring session musician previously, and before I could speak, he firmly orders, "Sir, take off your earphones when I'm talking to you." I take both hearing aids off and look at him. I can read lips a little but we're both masked so I can't understand what he's saying. I communicate in sign language simultaneously while speaking verbally. I'm deaf and I didn't understand what you just said. Can you communicate to me in ASL, American Sign Language, please? He points at my hearing aids that look like Apple AirPods, motioning me to put them on. I respond, "Yes officer, without those I can only communicate in ASL. Please instruct me in ASL and I will be compliant in every possible way." He looks at the dashcam that's neatly pointed squarely at us and mumbles, "For fuck's sake." He then motions for me to go, giving me 2 thumbs up. Needless to say, I rolled up the window and drove away as fast as legally allowed. Couldn't wipe the smile off my face all day, lol. Addendum, whoa. 13K likes in a span of less than 2.5 hours. Thanks all. Don't worry, I'll update with a YouTube link as soon as I and a more gadget-savvy nephew extract the footage. I will not be driving the car to preserve the video and to not risk getting it recorded over. Cheers. Professor fails me because my group went ghost during group project, by user rec me senpai. So I was in a speech class, it was my last semester. Completely online due to COVID. Our professor assigned us a group speech that we were to record and send to him by the due date. I thought it would be easy enough as he gave us 2 weeks to work on it and group speeches weren't anything new to me. He even made separate discussion boards for our groups that we could use to communicate. This project was worth 30% of our grade, so failing this project meant you would pretty much fail the course. I wanted to get it done early so we wouldn't have to worry about it, so I immediately post a message to everyone in the group asking when they were free to do a Zoom meeting to discuss the project. No reply for a few days by any of them. I then post again. This time a little more stern as it didn't seem any of them cared enough to even reply at all. I waited a few more days. At this point we only had a week left before it was due, so I just divided up the work and posted what everyone would need to write their portion of the speech about and gave them a date/time that I would be holding a Zoom meeting for the final recording to send the professor. Still no reply. It was now the day before the speech was to be recorded and 2 days before the speech was due, and my group members had not made an attempt to make contact in any form at all. So I did the only thing I could think of and emailed my professor explaining the situation. But I assumed he would not reply because throughout the entire semester, it took him over a week to reply to any emails I had sent him. I then did the entire group project on my own, which took me the entire night with no sleep. After I finished writing everyone's speech, it was around the time I had scheduled the Zoom meeting to record. I joined it out of amusement knowing nobody in my group would be there. Sure enough, it was empty. So I did the entire speech myself. But the rubric really put emphasis on transitioning to our other group members, including saying their name. So between every section where it would cut to a different member, I would say something like, "And now, my name, will explain the importance of blah blah," then mute my screen briefly as if to add a cut, put on a different hat, and continue the speech. I did this for all 6 portions of the speech. I turned in the speech shortly after and filled out the group member roll sheet that was due as well. I just put my name in every box that was supposed to be a different member. A week passes and I see he graded the project, still not replying to my previous email about the situation BTW, and he gave me a 0 stating it was supposed to be a group project and me doing it solo meant I did not follow instructions. I was actually infuriated by this and knew that emailing him about the grade was as good as useless, so I went straight above him to the board of the college and explained to them what happened. They apologized and said the situation would be resolved, and within a few hours of me talking to the board, he had replied to my email 3 times stating that he was sorry for the miscommunication about the project and that my grade would be corrected, scolded me for going above him saying I should have just emailed him again if I couldn't get in contact with my classmates, and putting the blame on me for not trying harder to reach out to them. The next semester, I saw that he was no longer with the school. My guess is that it was a habit of his to not reply to emails and he got fired for it. Also, his corrected grade was a 70. But I was so mentally exhausted from the situation at that point that I didn't care to fight it anymore. I have to call in sick before 6 in the morning? Alright then, by user Jackie Sparrow. My job starts at around 1400 hours, usually that means I wake up about 9 in the morning. A few weeks back I woke up at 9 feeling sick and dizzy and throwing up. Went to bed fine the day before. Called work at around 10 and said I couldn't get in. Manager immediately is like, our policy is to call in sick before 6 so you won't get your hours. My manager arrives at the building at around 10 so it would have been impossible to call before 6. Anyways, we also have to call daily to let them know if we are going to come in if we are sick. Next morning at about 5 I wake up and call. No answer, Danune's there yet, decide to call manager directly. She answers are groggily and is like what? Me, yeah wanted to let you know I am still sick. Her, couldn't you have done that last night? Me, yeah but I could have been better this morning. Next day and do the same and the day after too. She then sends me an email explaining how the rules been changed and 10 is now acceptable. Boss fired me for being pregnant, I'm the one who gets paid in the end, by user joke _on _u9719. I posted one of the emails she sent in r/anti-work and they mentioned I should tell the full story here. To see the photos click the link below. https://www.reddit.com/r/anti-work/comments/rqq213/boss_fired_me_for_then_score didn't /utm_source equals share and amp utm_medium equals ios_app and amp utm_name equals iosf. This last year during COVID had been a tough year for my family. My husband went from 6 figures supporting our family on his salary alone while we pocketed my entire salary to losing his job for 8 months. I work in political campaigning, which means I work on short-term contracts as an independent contractor. In other words, if we lose an election I move on to the next race. I made a pretty good name for myself working on the lower levels of a campaign and moving up quickly. In my state this year there were statewide elections and I caught a lucky break and ended up the campaign manager on a statewide race. I am the youngest CM, 24F, to run a statewide race in about the last 20 years. When the primary came up we lost the election by 200 votes. While we lost the campaign, coming so close to winning in my age made me kind of a superstar in my field. After we lost I had offers from all over the state for jobs. The problem is I had just bought a house and wasn't looking to relocate, like you often have to do in politics, or the positions weren't high enough coming off being the top dog as the higher positions were already filled. I got an offer to join a local campaign, so no relocation, but the salary was lower than what I was used to. I would however, be the CM again. However, I learned quickly my boss had a holier-than-thou personality. She made several comments about how real women breastfeed and have natural births. I would later be able to do neither and it really screwed with my emotional well-being. I don't have time to list all the red flags but I was literally just waiting until my husband got a job to exit. The campaign hadn't been built out at all. There was no one other than the candidate. I ended up building out our entire team, consultant, fundraiser, staff, etc. Luckily I have made a lot of powerful connections in my time. I signed my contract and sent it in with the salary we had agreed on with the stipulation that if we raised enough money 3 months down the line my salary would be raised but could not be lowered at any point. Just a few weeks prior I had also found out that I was pregnant and my due date was the week of the election and just a week after joining the campaign I was also in a serious car accident. Luckily my pregnancy was safe but I herniated a disc in the car accident and due to my pregnancy there were very few things that could be done as far as helping my back or pain management. If I did my job right that shouldn't be an issue because my job can essentially be handled from home and staff could do the rest. I had the team working in lockstep and I was proud of the work I was doing even though only about 10% of my views aligned with the campaign. Then we hit a snag. The candidate's husband got deployed to a rather dangerous place for a month and she completely checked out. She stopped fundraising, which means that everything comes to a halt in campaigning. She stopped putting in the legwork to win. We also lost our only lower staff member during this time. We knew she was worried about her husband so no one on the team tried to push back very hard. Eventually her husband came back and it was go time. There wasn't a minute to waste and I was back to getting our operation working full speed. One day she calls me up to tell me how 20 years ago her first job as a private school teacher was making as much money as I was now. I also live in an expensive DC suburb, not the backwoods where she grew up. I have multiple college degrees and this job offers no benefits unlike teaching. Not comparable at all. This is when I realized there might be a problem. A couple weeks later, I told her I would need to take a step back from doing the other staff member's job, mostly door knocking, because of my injured back, but that we would hire someone. Unfortunately, due to the lack of fundraising, it made it hard to pay anyone else and those duties fell on her. CMs do not typically door knock. We had a team meeting with the entire team and I started pressuring the candidate about all the things she wasn't doing and there was a legitimate meltdown. She started yelling at me about how I wasn't doing my job and my pregnancy wasn't her problem and how I was the reason everything was failing, and then hung up on the entire team. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. After this I decided to take a step back from doing all the duties that are typically handled by lower level staff and just focused on doing my job duties which weren't being appreciated. I pretty much went radio silent and she kept nitpicking at everything. Everyone on the campaign started to grow uneasy, but I told them to just hold out. Well, sure enough, she calls me up and says, since you are pregnant and can no longer door knock, you can either work for state minimum wage, or you can find a new job. Mind you, she knew my husband had been out of work for 8 months and thought I had no options at this point, but what she didn't know is that my husband had gotten a job offer that exact day. So I stopped her right there and thanked her for the opportunity and told her I would be working my contractually obligated 30-day notice at my current salary and then leaving the campaign. She then began to scream at me about how she wasn't paying me a dime more and started listing off a list of issues she had with the way I was doing my job. I stopped her, thanked her once again and told her all of my finishing tasks would be completed when I received payment for the last month I worked. Yes, she was a month behind on paying me, as well as payment for the 30-day notice that she was legally required to pay me whether I continued working or not. I waited a few hours and she never finalized my termination in writing, so I sent her a termination letter thanking her for the opportunity and once again repeating everything we had discussed on the phone. She sent me a nasty email again reiterating that I wouldn't be paid for the previous month or 30 days and listed about 10 things that I had done to be terminated, including that I didn't wear makeup to work every day. I decided to send this email to the rest of the team and sure enough everyone quit except for the consultant. In 5 minutes she lost everyone she had. Then a friend of mine offered me my dream job working for him, so all in all it worked out in my favor within 5 minutes of being fired. Well, here where things get tricky. I realize that my contract that obligates her to pay me for the 30 days notice isn't signed and I'm screwed. Well, sure enough, in her fit of rage she starts emailing everyone talking badly about me. The only problem is I still have access to the campaign email and I'm seeing every email she is sending. Emails saying that she wants to keep me on staff but that I need to take less money, and that I shouldn't have been dishonest about my pregnancy, so clearly I wasn't doing my job that badly. She just wanted to pay a pregnant woman less. She also asks the consultant for a list of things that I did wrong on the campaign so that she will have cause not to pay me my contract. I notice that the consultant never replies to this email. He tells her that if she want to fight it to send him a copy of the contract and he will have a lawyer take a look at it. Well, sure enough she sends him a signed copy of the contract and once again my contract is valid and she now has to pay me my severance. She has given me every piece of ammunition I need to get paid at this point, as well as wage a discrimination suit for referencing my pregnancy as a reason for termination. I hire a lawyer. She continues to pester me about turning over all of my work. The thing is, since I'm an independent contractor, I only owe her a final product if I get paid. I reiterate that she isn't getting anything until I've been paid and she can take it up with my lawyer. She begins slandering me to everyone I know and continuing to send emails about me that I'm just collecting. She then starts calling every friend she has to bully me into giving her what she wants. My response to all of them is, talk to my lawyer. In one final ditch effort she has the consultant call me begging me to turn over the stuff. The problem is that the consultant and I are personal friends and he's really unhappy working for her but has contractual obligations. I tell him to tell her the same thing, talk to my lawyer. 5 minutes later I get a call back from him saying that she has fired him because he refused to throw me under the bus and make up excuses for my termination when he believes I was wrongfully terminated. She fires him too and now he's out of his obligations. He also tells me that the lawyer she sent the contract over to said to pay me. In a matter of 2 weeks she is once again at square one with no one on her side. She is out of money and struggling. She finally emails me at 11 p.m. that she is willing to pay me. It's nighttime and I don't work for her anymore, so I decide I don't need to respond at that moment. Well, she starts calling me incessantly and texting me, all of which I'm ignoring. By the time I wake up in the morning I have 20 texts and 5 missed calls. I tell her that I will need to talk to my lawyer at this point and I'll get back to her after he responds. Well, she goes nuclear. 20 minutes later I get a call from the police. She is claiming I have been embezzling campaign funds and stealing her data. I have to get my lawyer on the phone and explain the whole situation and why this is a BS claim. I offer the bank account information for the funds she claimed I stole and proved that they were sitting right there in her account. She just doesn't know how to access them because I'm usually the one who does that. The police officer thinks she is nuts at this point, because she is, but then informs her that it considered larceny to withhold my pay and asks me if I would like to press charges. I say if she refused to pay then yes. Within 2 days I received a check in the mail with my payment and I turned everything over. The funny thing is that my 30-day notice pay was actually more money than if I had finished out the contract with the reduced pay she wanted to pay me. I got an extra $700 and didn't have to work for her for the remainder of the time. She ended up losing her election in a swing district by 15 points. Edit: for those of you wondering, I left campaigning and will never go back. If you want to hear my thought on politicians, check out the link posted above. I am not proud of my job nor did I love it, but a girl's gotta eat and good luck finding a company to work in America for that isn't at the very least morally questionable. Edit 2, thanks for all the upvotes and awards guys, I didn't think it would get this much attention. I'm just tired of women being treated like they can't be good employees and moms. On the plus side, more people have upvoted this post than voted for her on election day. Move out. Okay. No wait, by user BigMech. Update, I've read every single comment. I thought this post was going to go unnoticed and I was blown away. I'm sorry for concerning anyone. A few common questions to clear up due to my poor writing. I'm 26 now, he's 30, we've been dating since I was 19. The basement was set up as a lounge area so it's not like dirt floor. I never got a reason why, just that he wanted his own space in his room, especially after I go to bed and he wants to stay up. It's his parents' house but I'm not sure if they knew or not. I used the pool table as a bit of a privacy screen so whenever they came down I don't think they saw me. If they knew they didn't have an issue with it. I'm still in therapy, and I've got a lot of issues. Since I've moved out we're focusing on more pressing issues. I have trouble knowing what I did or didn't deserve and all that. Thank you everyone. I see it's super frustrating. I'm trying to be stronger. I wish I knew some of you in real life. The second I put my phone down I start questioning myself. I hope maybe my experience can shed some light on people you know that also won't just leave a toxic partner, though. None of us want to be a statistic. I can't watch romance in movies without wanting to cry at how kind some partners are portrayed. Thank you all for being kind. He doesn't have a key, my roommate knows not to let him in. I just can't break up now, like I'm begging for more disappointment lol. Maybe to prove to myself that I really did try and to convince myself that he chose to be the way he is now. Sorry it's not satisfying but I'm still out and I can breathe again. Background, TLDR left one abusive situation for another stressful one. I was homeless after leaving my abusive parents' home at 23. My boyfriend, 27 at the time, invited me to stay with him and his family, and I was grateful to not have to sleep in my car and not have to shower in the gym. For whatever reason, my first year was spent sleeping on a wrestling mat next to the basement pool table, but it was comfortable minus the occasional basement bug that I woke up to on me. Don't look up house centipedes if you've never seen them. My boyfriend started taking a lot of his anger out on me by starting inane arguments, breaking objects, threatening to kick me out, etc. This year I got therapy, got meds, and started building my inner strength. The more help I got, the more the outbursts escalated. The malicious compliance, TLDR, he told me to move out, so I found a place immediately. For the entire time I lived with my boyfriend, he would threaten to kick me out as the last straw. If I cried too loud he would say stuff like I'm done with this, quiet down or we're really done and you can get out of this house. It stopped making me apologize and beg this year. On my last day of my intensive therapy program he blew up at me. This time, though, I had everything I was taught in therapy. When he saw the insults weren't working, he said I should move out, that living with me is a nightmare, how I'm this and that, and so on. It was so hard to hear but I just kept quiet and let him rant it out until he stalked off. I immediately texted a friend about a place and luckily she knew someone that needed a roommate. I was able to check out the place the next day, which I did. I was still numb and in shock, but excited. I could move in right away. For once in my life I could have my own safe place. At this point I would have actually lived in my car to just not be screamed at all the time. The fallout. He was bluffing, and boy did the gaslighting turn all the way up when he found out I committed to moving out. I never told you to move out, you chose to do this. Wow, That's how little you care about me. If anything opened my eyes, it was his backpedal. At first he tried gaslighting, then criticizing every little thing, then being clingy and guilting me, then love bombing to show he's actually changing and so on. Y'all. I can own candles. He never let me light candles and now I have nice ones I can light whenever I want. I'm so happy I'm on my own. We're still together cause he agreed to therapy, since it's hard to just end a 7-year relationship. If you're considering leaving an unsafe place, this is your sign to go. Keep your self-worth close to you. You're worth it.